Imagine being so insanely rich that just passing through a city wrecks its economy for over a decade. You're not invading and you're not trading, you're just handing too much gold on a glorified road trip. This isn't fiction. This is the real life story of Mansa Musa, king of Mali, bringer of bling, breaker of banks, and possibly the richest human to ever exist. And yes, Banana Professor is a huge fan. Let's rewind to the early 14th century. No Wi-Fi, no coffee, no TikTok, but plenty of gold. Welcome to the Mali Empire, a West African powerhouse where gold wasn't just a luxury, it was basically pocket lint. If you trip on the road, you might just fall into a gold mine, and on top of it all, Mansa Musa, a ruler so astronomically wealthy that modern economists just stare at the spreadsheets and cry. Adjusted to today's value, his fortune is estimated between $100 and $400 billion, making Jeff Bezos looks like he's on a student budget. This guy didn't just have money, he was the money.
I am not in danger, Skylar. I am the danger.
So, what does a guy that rich even do with his time, you might be wondering? Buying Twitter? No. He does something even more dramatic. In 1324, Mansa Musa decided to embark on a pilgrimage to Mecca, a spiritual journey every Muslim is expected to make at least once in a lifetime. But this wasn't your average backpack and pray situation. No. Mansa rolled out with a literal city on the move. A caravan with 60,000 people that included 12,000 enslaved attendants, all dressed head to toe in embroidered Persian silk. Because of course they were. And 80 camels loaded with gold. But not just a few coins. Each camel carried over 300 pounds of pure gold dust. This wasn't a pilgrimage, it was the richest road trip in history. And everywhere they went, from city to city, Mansa Musa made it rain, handing out gold like candy at a parade. But there's just one problem when you casually flood entire regions with precious metal. So, picture this. Musa arrives in Cairo, one of the richest cities in the Islamic world. And instead of blending in, he basically goes full opera. You get gold, everyone gets gold. He gives away millions to the poor, to merchants, to local rulers, even to random passersby. And it's not just donations. Musa spends like a man trying to win a speed run on capitalism. Building mosques, buying souvenirs, stripping everyone from architects to camel groomers. Historians estimate he dropped at least 7,500 ounces of gold just in Cairo. But here's the plot twist. Gold isn't just shiny, it's currency, and basic economics kicked in hard. Suddenly, everyone in Cairo had gold, and when everyone has something, it's not worth as much anymore. Prices skyrocketed, gold's value plummeted, and just like that, Musa's generosity caused a massive inflation crisis. The value of gold dropped 20 to 25%, and Egypt's economy spiraled into a gold recession that took over a decade to recover from. Think about it. This man casually wrecked a country's economy just with tips and didn't even stay to clean up. Now, let's pause for a second. You might be thinking, wait, how does giving people gold mess up an economy? Well, welcome to the magical world of inflation. See, when gold is rare, it's valuable. But when Musa rolled through Cairo tossing gold like parade confetti, it wasn't rare anymore. There was suddenly too much money chasing the same amount of goods. That's like if Banana Professor walked into a town and gave out million bananas. Sounds awesome, right? But the second every villager is juggling bananas, no one is willing to pay for bananas anymore. The banana market crashes, banana-based businesses collapse, and Banana Professor, well, gone in a cloud of potassium. That's exactly what happened with gold in Egypt. Musa's generosity broke the system, not because gold lost its shine, but because too much of a good thing can become a bad thing real fast. Okay, let's go back because now it gets really funny. When word got back to Musa that his gold splurging spree had wrecked Egypt's economy, he didn't shrug it off. No, he did something no tourist has ever done before or since. He started collecting his gifts back. That's right. Musa began borrowing gold from local merchants and moneylenders. with interest to soak up the excess cash and stabilize prices. That wasn't just a guilt trip, it was a real attempt to fix what he broke. Basically, Mansa Musa turned into a one-man central bank before central banks were even a thing. Imagine going on a vacation, tipping everyone in gold, realizing you caused a financial crisis and then reversing it by launching a personal bailout plan. It's part brilliance, part panic move, but it worked. Over time, gold recovered some value, though Egypt still took nearly a decade to fully bounce back. It's like if the banana professor flooded the village with bananas, then had to go door to door to trading bananas in depth to restore banana rarity. Welcome to your first lecture of medieval macroeconomics. Okay, but Mansa Musa wasn't just a man with deep pockets and a dramatic flair, he had a vision. After his return from Mecca, he didn't stop at tossing gold or fixing inflation. He turned his attention to something far rarer than riches: knowledge. Musa put his wealth into building a legacy that would outlive him. He transformed Timbuktu, yes, the real one, into a global central for learning and culture. Think libraries, universities, mosques, scholars, scribes. Imagine the banana professor just opening Ivy League campuses in the middle of Sahara. One of his most iconic projects was the Jinguerb whatever mosque, built in 1327, still standing today. It became the cornerstone of Islamic learning in the West Africa. Musa invited architects and scholars from across the Muslim world to teach, translate, and spread knowledge. Timbuktu became the real Harvard of the desert. And it worked. Word of his wealth and wisdom traveled far. By 1375, Europeans, mapmakers who barely knew West Africa existed, drew Mansa Musa into the famous Catalan Atlas. He's showing sitting like a boss on a golden throne, holding a literal gold nugget. For medieval cartographers, this is like basically being verified on Instagram. So, was Mansa Musa really the richest man in history? That's still up for debate. Historians argue that trying to compare a 14th century emperor's wealth to today's billionaires, it's kinda like comparing bananas to bitcoins. One is tangible, the other is speculative. Most of what we know comes from travelers, traders, and occasional medieval map with extra flair. Estimates today range from 100 to over $400 billion in modern value, but here's the real kicker. Mansa Musa didn't just sit on his wealth, he used it. His pilgrimage alone triggered economic aftershock across North Africa that lasted over a decade. He literally bent markets with generosity. But more than just gold, Mansa Musa changed how the world saw West Africa. He turned the desert kingdom into a name people drew on maps. He made scholars migrate, cities flourished, and economies rise and fall, all without firing a single arrow, because of course they didn't have guns. So even if we can't exactly measure his bank account, the impact, undeniable. He turned wealth into power, power into legacy, and legacy into legend. And in banana professor terms, he slipped on a banana peel made of gold and left a trail that the world is still following. Thanks so much for watching. This is actually the first video in a brand new project that I'm starting, and I'd really love your feedback. So if you got suggestions, thoughts, or just want to say hi, drop a comment below. I will read them all, I promise. And hey, if you like this one, hit that subscribe button because I'm not stopping. More videos like this are on the way and they are only going to get better. Okay, see ya.